TSMC founder Morris Chang represents Taiwan at the annual APEC summit. Fighting misinformation, we meet the fact-checkers correcting the record ahead of Taiwan's local elections. And
I'm Louise Watt, and I've come to Taiwan's outlying islands of Matsu to find out why the country's ruling party is fielding local candidates here for the first time in history.
Plus, after half a century in captivity, turtles in Penghu return to the sea. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Betty Chen. The annual APEC summit is underway in Bangkok. Taiwan's representative has already met with U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris. It's unclear if he will speak directly to China's leader Xi Jinping during the event. But as John Van Trieste reports, the issue of peace between Taiwan and China has still been a topic of discussion.
Leaders from across the Pacific Rim are gathered in Bangkok for the annual APEC Forum. It's the first time the event is being held in person in 4 years. Taiwan is also in attendance, though its delegation is headed not by the country's president, Tsai Ing-wen, but by Morris Chang, the billionaire founder of the country's most valuable company, the tech giant TSMC. Chang has represented Taiwan at APEC several times, and he was full of confidence as he departed for Bangkok.
对我来说，这也是第6次接受到总统的任命，要我去参加 APEC。那对于 APEC 的程序啊什么，也已经相当的熟悉了，恐怕比有些领袖自己都还熟悉一点。
Taiwan's media is speculating whether Chang will be able to speak with Chinese leader Xi Jinping while in Bangkok. The Chinese leader canceled a speech at the hotel where Chang is staying, making a meeting appear unlikely. Relations between Taiwan and China have been at a low point. China claims Taiwan is part of its territory and hasn't ruled out the use of force to take it. In August, the Chinese military held drills around the island nation, exacerbating tensions. But the issue of peace between Taiwan and China was still put before the Chinese president. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida raised the matter in his own meeting with Xi.
私から尖閣諸島を含む東シナ海情勢や中国による弾道ミサイル発射等の軍事的活動について深刻な懸念を表明し、また台湾海峡の平和と安定の重要性を改めて強調しました。
As the regional economic event wraps up, Taiwan's delegation is making the most of the opportunity. Morris Chang is meeting with representatives from the other 21 member states, a rare chance for Taiwan to have its voice heard on the international stage. Damon Lin and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Australia's Prime Minister indicated his country would not support Taiwan joining a major trade pact. Anthony Albanese was talking about the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP. Speaking at APEC, Albanese said that the agreement was for, quote, recognized nation-states. Australia does not recognize Taiwan as a country. Albanese's comments seem to contradict the text of the pact, which says the agreement is for, quote, any state or separate customs union. The CPTPP is currently made up of signatories of 11 nations and is one of the largest free trade areas in the world. Taiwan is one of the world's most susceptible countries to disinformation. And according to fact-checkers, suspicious information has increased in a run-up to this month's local elections. Ahead of the vote, James Chater met with some of the people working to ensure fake news doesn't undermine faith in Taiwan's democracy.
A quiet Taipei apartment, but this is Taiwan's front line against disinformation. This is Kofax, a community of fact-checkers that verify suspicious information. They focus on the most popular messaging app in Taiwan, Line. And in the run-up to Taiwan's local elections, they're busy verifying submissions to their collaborative fact-checking system, or chatbot.
需要判断消息真假的时刻，使用真的假的机器人。
Ahead of November's vote, COFAX has seen messages, photos, and videos attacking individual candidates and undermining faith in Taiwan's democracy.
Ask that why should my 90-year-old grandma would trust you? We want people to communicate. We want people to discuss. We want people to be aware about politicians, parties, politics, and democracy.
Among recent messages, a post implying Taiwan's governing DPP or Democratic Progressive Party had encouraged people to vote later in the day at previous elections, so their vote would not count.
他说啊，就是说不要早上去投票，你要下午去投票，因为这样才不好做票。
不然以前也都有，这也不是。
Another group, the Taiwan Fact Check Center, is also on the alert for suspicious internet content. Their top editor says Chinese disinformation spiked after US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan in August. She says other types of political disinformation have also picked up nearer the election, and again, China's the chief suspect.
We are on the front line of the disinformation from China. So what we are debunking is not only the misinformation spreading in Taiwan, but also the misinformation spreading in the Chinese-speaking world.
China claims Taiwan as part of its territory, despite the Chinese Communist Party having never ruled the country. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen says China is waging cognitive warfare against Taiwan. In other words, using misleading information to erode faith in Taiwan's political system. Fact-checkers like Billions say their mission, at its core, is to stop that from happening.
Democracy is super important. It's much more like air. And we cannot live without air. However, when we possess them, we might not know how important it is.
Taiwan's elections are loud. And the flurry of accusations against politicians and their parties even louder. But here, the quiet work continues of finding truth amid the noise. Klein Wong, Howard Zhang, and James Chater for TaiwanPlus.
Opposition lawmakers and civic groups are criticizing the government's decision to keep COVID-19 patients from voting. According to current regulations, people with COVID must self-isolate for 5 days and can't leave the house even to vote. This will prevent an estimated 300,000 people from casting their ballots in next Saturday's elections. The groups say this violates the constitutional right to vote. They also say that countries like the US, South Korea, and Japan came up with ways for COVID patients to vote remotely. They're calling on Taiwan's government to do the same. Taiwan's ruling party is making an unprecedented attempt to win votes in the outlying islands of Matsu. The chain lies just off the Chinese shore, far from Taiwan proper, and a China-friendly Kuomintang or KMT has long dominated local politics. But as Louise Watt reports, this year's election is particularly fierce.
11月26号县长选举，拜托大家支持，恳请大家支持1号李问一票，支持大黄鱼战队。
Wearing the fish balloon is County Chief candidate Li Wen. That's a croaker fish, the symbol of his campaign. And here in the Matsu Islands, it's a local delicacy known for croaking loudly. Li says he wants to help make the people's voices louder too. With just 13,000 residents, Lianjiang County is Taiwan's smallest constituency. It's better known as the Matsu Islands, which lie just off the coast of China. Li wants to become the county chief.
Our goal is mainly to succeed in any election that we can, and to bring a new style of politics and new atmosphere to local politics here in Matsu.
Li is not like other candidates in Matsu. He used to be a journalist in Taipei. Even more unusual, he's running for the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, the party of President Tsai Ing-wen. During her 6 years in office, Taiwan's relations with China have plummeted. A win in Matsu would be hugely symbolic for the party in power. The DPP has never before stood in local elections on these islands. Taiwan's main opposition party, the KMT, which wants closer relations with Beijing, dominates here. And that's perhaps not so surprising, given that we're so close, you can see across to China. The KMT is so well established in Matsu, not just one, but two KMT candidates are standing against Li, including Wang Zhongming, who has been the deputy county chief for 6 years. His campaign promise is to continue improving Matsu's transport links and infrastructure.
我发觉国民党所提出来的候选人所提出来的政见比较落实，比较务实。为什么呢？他是在地人，他了解马祖人民的需要，跟台湾人民的需要是不相同的。Hello.
Matsu has close links with China. It's less than 20 kilometers away, and the local Matsu dialect is spoken in the Chinese province of Fujian, just across the water. The other KMT candidate for county chief is Taoyuan. He works for the county government for 40 years on things like tourism, construction and strategy. He's not just canvassing for votes, he's collecting signatures to reopen ferry and flight routes between Matsu and China. Those stopped running during the pandemic. Cao says they're good for Matsu's economy, for the peaceful development of China-Taiwan relations, and for residents who want to visit their relatives in China. While many people in Matsu still identify as Chinese, the ruling DPP and Taiwan as a whole are more likely to identify as Taiwanese. But Cao says he's happy the DPP is standing in Matsu's local elections because it's good for democracy.
民进党的参与，我是非常非常支持的，是好的。这一项呢，不管这场选举，因为他参选我输了，或者因为他参选我赢了，或者是都不影响，我觉得都是正面的，是很好的。
The DPP has nominated 10 candidates for everything from village representative all the way up to county chief. Unlike Li, most are locals, like Chen, who runs a hotel. He says he wants to improve people's livelihoods.
我觉得竞争才会有进步，所以我不是选择加入民进党，而是我选择加入需要竞争的行列。
Local residents like Zhang Guohai, who used to work for the county government, say they're open to new candidates.
大家好，都希望有能力的人出来，所以因为我虽然说。 没有什么政党色彩，最起码我是觉得，只要能做事的人，我们都支持。
Li is pledging to provide more affordable housing and more job opportunities. He says inter-party competition can bring more accountability and transparency to local politics. But he says it's about more than that, given how close Matsu is to China.
It shows that democracy can thrive even at the doorstep of a very assertive and strong, aggressive, authoritarian country.
The islands of Matsu, far from Taipei, often feel forgotten in Taiwan's national politics. But this year, Li is hoping the DPP can make a splash. Win or lose, he's already captured the nation's attention simply by offering Matsu's residents another choice. And candidates from both sides of the political spectrum agree that can only be good for Taiwan's democracy. Damon Lin and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
With local elections just around the corner, prosecutors have launched an investigation into a mayoral candidate. Gao Hong'an of the Taiwan People's Party is running in the northern city of Hsinchu. Prosecutors on Thursday began a probe into embezzlement allegations against her. Gao is suspected of over-reporting salaries paid to her aides by about $19,000 and pocketing the difference. Gao's office says they have provided evidence to authorities proving the allegations are untrue.
检举人他今天有提出这样子一个告诉，那原告跟被告的关系在这个案件里面就是这样子成立的，并不是说目前的检调司法是认定有罪。
The race for the mayor's office in the northern city of Keelung is heating up. Candidates from both of Taiwan's major parties have brought in national political heavyweights in a final push to secure votes. Jonathan Trieste has the story.
A busy day for some of the biggest names in Taiwan politics. Leading figures from Taiwan's two main parties converged on the northern port city of Keelung to give their mayoral candidates a boost. The opposition Kuomintang's Xie Guoliang brought in former President Ma Ying-jeou and the party's 2020 presidential candidate Han Kuo-yu. He criticized his rival, Tsai Shi-ying of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, for an appearance that same day with Taiwan's current president, Tsai Ing-wen.
双方都会请党内的先进同志来帮忙。布马总统是早就约定好这个时候过来，那我相信这个一定是马总统对我们的帮助非常大，气势对方怕被压过去，所以才今天请他们的蔡总统来协助他。
Tsai defended his appearance with the president.
对基隆有贡献的人才有意义吼。过去马英九执政的时代，基隆作为全国最后一名的城市，马英九任命的交通部的部长曾经大肆的批评基隆市的城市发展，也被基隆市议会列为不受欢迎的人物。我不晓得我的对手找了马英九来，是要提醒基隆市市民说，过去基隆市被搞烂的这个状况，马英九就是其中的刽子手之一吗？
With next Saturday's election quickly approaching, both candidates hope the political weight of their party's VIPs will cement the backing of their supporters and persuade voters who may still be on the fence. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
8 people have been indicted over the biggest marijuana bust in Taiwan's history. Police in northern Taiwan's Taoyuan seized more than 4,000 marijuana plants in September with an estimated street value of over $40 million. Authorities say the main suspect in the case has a history of gang activity. Prosecutors claim he imported marijuana seeds and taught himself how to grow the plants. 6 other suspects are undocumented migrant workers from Indonesia. Prosecutors are seeking to keep all of the accused in custody, claiming the suspects pose a flight risk. Coming up, Taiwan explores new options to house its rapidly aging population. Details after the break.
Taiwan heads to the polls. One of the most vibrant democracies in Asia is making decisions that will affect the future. We have reporters on the ground getting to know the candidates, covering Taiwanese election culture to catch the true pulse of Taiwan. Join us on November 26th for live results, in-depth analysis, and all the election stories that matter. Decision 2022, only on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. A Dutch court has sentenced 3 men to life in prison over the downing of flight MH17 that killed almost 300 people in 2014. The 2 Russians and 1 Ukrainian were tried in absentia. The court says they played important roles in arranging the transport of a missile system used to shoot down the plane. All 3 are believed to be in Russia or Russian-held territory. The passenger plane had departed from Amsterdam and was traveling to Malaysia. It was shut down in an area of eastern Ukraine controlled by Russia and Ukrainian separatists. U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said she will step down as the Democratic leader in the chamber. This comes a day after Republicans scored a narrowly majority following the U.S. midterm elections. Pelosi, the first woman to wield the speaker's gavel, said she would stay in Congress as the representative from San Francisco, a position she has held for 35 years. New York Representative Hakeem Jeffries is expected to succeed Pelosi as the top Democrat in the House. Jeffries would be the first black lawmaker to lead one of the major parties in Congress. The local government in Taitung has stepped in to help farmers sell off their stock of seasonal fruit. Pineapple and custard apple growers in a southeastern county have been hit hard by Chinese bans on certain Taiwanese fruits. Local officials in Taidong have been working with 2 grocery chains to promote the fruit domestically, along with the help of the central government. Last year, they were able to sell nearly 5,000 tons, but that was only 70% of their target. They hope to raise that number this year.
大概一天都有2000斤以上的这个销量在持续上升。那不过，这是平日，希望这个假日会有更好的销售额。
With Taiwan projected to become a super-aged society in a little over 2 years, the country is exploring a range of new housing options for an aging population. Reinhold Kilpatrick has more.
These pristine modern flats look much like any other new high-end building in Taiwan cities. But looking at the finer details, such as wheelchair-accessible thresholds, support rails, and panic buttons, reveals something special. The buildings are part of a retirement community in northern Taoyuan City. They're a new form of housing that's becoming increasingly necessary for a society that's rapidly aging.
其实目前大家就越来越重视自己的退休生活。那我们这边客户其实从45岁到65岁，他们看房的需求会渐渐增加，然后也会希望提早准备自己的退休之后的第3人生去做规划。
Taiwan is projected to become a super-aged society by 2025. By then, it's estimated that 1 in every 5 people in the country will be over 65 years old. Meeting the needs of this ballooning demographic requires a varied approach. In some cases, it can mean a greater demand for nursing homes with 24-hour care. But for others, it could be independent living communities like this one.
以前的概念，觉得退休的都是看到就是影片上面那种躺在养老院、安老院，印象是坐在轮椅上啊，然后变得痴痴呆呆的，然后就被人家喂食啊。来这边以后就觉得非常不一样。
The aging population is widely seen as an economic time bomb, but for some looking to tap the silver dollar, it's also an opportunity. While independent living facilities offer a security net, they also give residents greater freedom. This means they can still go out shopping, take part in computer or music classes, and enjoy other social activities.
养老环境那过去大家是比较悲情，但是现在已经变成养老的新世代了。
Facilities like these come at a cost, though. To help retirees with less money, the government is offering subsidies to help retrofit older dwellings. There are also plans for intergenerational social housing, which are designed so that young and old can both support and learn from each other. Ryan Kilpatrick for TaiwanPlus.
Taipei Zoo's sick panda Tuan Tuan has taken a turn for the worse.
那昨天的状况，事实上可能在前一天，团团进食或者行动的状态就慢慢往下跑。 所以昨天大概就是特别盯着它。
Tuan Tuan has been suffering from health issues since last month. A team of vets from China visited the bear for several days to provide treatment advice, with the decision made to continue palliative care. His condition had been improving, but he suffered from a series of seizures on Thursday. Tuan Tuan, one of a pair of pandas gifted to Taiwan by China in 2008, turned 18 this year. The average lifespan of a panda is 20 years old. After half a century in captivity, turtles raised at a temple on Taiwan's Penghu Islands returned to the sea on Wednesday. While researchers will be monitoring the newly released turtles, some experts have expressed concerns about how the animals will adapt to live in the wild. Stash Butler has the story.
For this sea turtle, it's been a long journey back to the ocean. 50 years after being rescued from fishing nets, this and 4 other turtles are now back in the sea. For decades, they've lived on Taiwan's Penghu Islands in a pool at a Taoist temple, the only legal sanctuary in the country. But this year, 3 of the temple's 8 turtles died because of overcrowding and poor water quality. That's why researchers decided to release the rest back into the wild.
确认他们这些体表以及游泳的行为正常，而且也能够自行的捕食的情况底下，达到我们野放的标准。
Conservation workers put a tracking device on one of the green sea turtles and the rarer loggerhead. Researchers hope this will help them understand the animal's migration patterns.
能够定期的回报它的那个位置的资讯。 让我们了解海龟野放之后它的回游的情况。
But not everyone is convinced that releasing the turtles into the hazards of the ocean after a lifetime of captivity is a good idea.
海底的废弃物或者渔网都有可能造成海底生物的损伤，即使就是野生的，它都有可能会有这个误触渔网的问题。
Turtle populations at a nearby nesting haven have dwindled in the last 2 decades. Researchers hope this group of sea turtles can make it safely past the perils of the sea and give scientists precious insight into how to save their species. Howard, Chang and Stash Butler for TaiwanPlus.
American basketball player Dwight Howard is training hard for his first game in Taiwan. Howard worked up a sweat with his new Taoyuan Leopards teammates ahead of his first home game this weekend. All 60,000 tickets for the Leopards' first 4 games have already sold out. Even limited Golden Seat season tickets costing almost $5,500 each sold out in about 20 minutes. In an interview with local media, Howard said he and his teammates will strive to live up to fans' expectations.
We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to the game. We know that the arena is going to be packed with a lot of people. We're going to be excited to see us play. So we're going to go out there and be intense, have a lot of fun, and let everybody know that the Leopards are coming this year.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally, today we leave you with images of the Sao Paulo Fashion Week with a focus on textile waste and effects of consumerism. I'm Betty Chen. Take care and see you next time.